Heartwarming surprise. Millionaire boss reveals incredible gesture for single Mom and her son. In the charming town of Maplewood, where gossip spread like wildfire, the buzz around the newcomer was ignited by an unexpected act of kindness. Sarah, a single mother known for stretching every penny and folding mountains of laundry to make life a bit softer for her son, was the heart of the community. She was the waitress with the warm smile in the morning and the dedicated housekeeper known for her neatness at night. While she struggled, her spirit was bright, her eyes filled with an unyielding hope for her shy 8-year-old son, Jake. He drew like he breathed, hiding in the shadows of his bold strokes of color, yet emerging more vividly with every piece of art she encouraged him to create. Enter Mark, the billionaire who moved into the expansive mansion looming over town. He was wrapped in luxury, but sought meaning amidst it all. Eyes scanning the community during an art fair, he spotted Jake, lost in shyness while Sarah pushed him gently to hang his latest drawing. When that timid boy finally did, the proud look on Sarah's face made Mark's heart swell. How could someone so dedicated and loving find themselves nearly buried under life's stresses? He felt a magnetism toward them, a desire to see that sparkle in their lives flourish. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension reached a boiling point when Mark approached Sarah with a job offer at his startup. Her initial reaction was tinged with confusion and hurt. "Do you think I can't make it on my own?" she blurted out, her voice quaking. The misunderstanding festered, fueled by the whispers of a community unsure how to embrace the wealthy newcomer. The very same folks who admired her strength began to see this as a threat, questioning Mark's motives. Things took a turn for the worse at the school's art show when Jake's magnificent work was dismissed, a catastrophe leaving him crushed under the weight of their rejection. Sarah's heart shuddered for her son and their future, feeling the isolation creep into their small, worn-out apartment like a chilling fog. But then, like a storm that rips through dark clouds, a crisis hit Maplewood, uniting the townsfolk under shared fears. Sarah stood in front of them all at a town meeting, her courage igniting a spark of resilience. As she spoke about overcoming life's struggles together, her gaze found Mark's amidst the room. It held a glimmer of hope and an unspoken connection that yearned to rebuild a bridge shattered by misunderstanding. Now, as divisions simmer around them and the doubts grow, can curiosity and compassion overcome the tension? Will Sarah take a chance to reconnect not just with Mark, but with her dreams? The air was thick with unanswered questions, hanging delicately on the edge of something magical. As they reached for a better tomorrow, it was the calm before the storm, or perhaps the beginning of their shared journey. The town meeting had quieted, the air thick with anticipation. Sarah stood at the podium, feeling a strange mixture of adrenaline and fear coursing through her veins. She had always been the one to embrace vulnerability, but sharing her truth in front of so many sets of scrutinizing eyes, that was new territory. Her voice rang out, steadying as she spoke. "I know what it's like to struggle, to feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders." She looked around, catching glimpses of widening eyes and nodding heads. "But it's in these moments of hardship, when we come together as a community, that we can find our strength." Mark watched from the back, the knots in his stomach about the job offer shifting in his chest. He didn't want to impose or dictate Sarah's path. He wanted to empower her. Only now did he realize how the simple act of kindness could lead to a web of misunderstandings. His hope was to be a guide, not a shadow. As Sarah spoke, he felt an urge to approach her, to offer reassurance. Yet, he felt the heavy weight of judgment from townsfolk. Whispers roamed like shadows underfoot. They had painted him in a corner, and he wasn't sure how to break free. Jake sat quietly in the crowd, his small fingers gripping a crayon as he doodled anxiously on a scrap piece of paper. He could sense the tension ebbing through the room. His instincts told him it wasn't just about his art anymore. It was about something deeper, something that connected him, his mom, and this man who seemed to see them as they truly were. As Sarah continued, her words sparked a sense of unity among a dwindling group, and slowly, the murmurs that had punctuated the meeting faded. Sarah looked off to where Mark stood, their eyes locking again, and for a moment everything else slipped away. It was a silent understanding, a thread of hope binding their hearts. I know some of you may feel reluctant to trust him. She gestured subtly towards Mark, but let us not forget the compassion we can offer each other. In these dark times, we are our own light. Together, there was a prevailing energy in the room as people shifted in their seats, some nodding in agreement, while others processed their feelings of doubt. Then, like rolling thunder, clapping began to emerge from the crowd. Jake's heart fluttered with hope as he lifted his eyes to Sarah, her smile igniting something in him, an instinct that told him everything might just be all right. As the applause crescendoed, Sarah caught the briefest glimpse of a smile on Mark's face. It was a spark, a sign that maybe they could navigate this journey together, earning trust and tenderness along the way. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself caught between mounting interest in Mark's company and a lingering distrust from the townsfolk. Mark began to show up at the diner not just as a guest, but as someone genuinely interesting in their lives. But even his best intentions felt heavy against the backdrop of small-town gossip. One afternoon, as she cleared tables, Sarah watched Mark strike up a conversation with Jake, playfully teasing him about his drawing skills. The laugh that bubbled from Jake's lips sent warmth through her heart, chasing away the shadows that had been gathering inside. But the whispers didn't fade. They only grew louder, creating a soundtrack of uncertainty around them. What would it take to silence their doubts? As Sarah stepped outside after her shift, the chill in the evening air gripped her. She pulled her coat tightly around herself, unsure if she was brave enough to open her heart to a man whose world was so far removed from hers. Just then, Mark appeared beside her, concern etched on his face. "Sarah," he started, his voice low and full of care. "I want to talk to you about my plans for the future. I think we could do so much more together, but I need you to trust me." The world felt like it held its breath, and Sarah hesitated. Could she? "Are you ready for the storm that might come with it?" she asked, the weight of her doubts hanging heavily in the air. Mark looked at her, determination shining behind his eyes. "I'm not afraid of the storms, just of losing what I've found in you." The tension crackled, leaving the question hanging like an unresolved note. Could love withstand the turbulence waiting on the horizon? Would they find the courage to step boldly into uncharted territory together? The streets glimmered under the moonlight as Sarah stared out into the night, the weight of Mark's words hanging in the air like a fading echo. The town was quiet, but within, a storm of thoughts raged. Could she truly place her trust in someone when the whispers licked at the edges of her resolve? Mark stood close enough for her to feel the warmth radiating from his body. She could sense his hope, but it felt like a fragile thing easily shattered by fear, by the uncertainty of her situation. "We can make a difference, together," he urged softly, his eyes locked on hers. "I want to help you and Jake." His commitment sparked something in her, a flicker of hope she hadn't realized she'd been craving. She imagined a future where their lives intertwined seamlessly, where their shots at happiness went beyond the confines of the diner and small-town gossip. But trust was a delicate dance, and she didn't know the steps. "Mark," she breathed, her voice trembling, "what if things don't work out? What if this whole thing is a mistake?" "I don't believe that," he replied, his voice steady. "Mistakes are just stepping stones. Besides, you and Jake deserve something better. You deserve happiness." Sarah glanced back toward the diner, half expecting the townsfolk to emerge with their judgmental glares, but the streets were vacant, leaving her in a bubble of fragile possibility. She weighed her thoughts, images of small-town doubters against the prospect of a partnership grounded in care and mutual support. Could she risk it all? Before she could answer, an energetic voice burst into the moment. "Mom, look at this." Jake bolted out of the diner, crumpled paper in hand, and burst into their conversation. His cheeks were red with excitement. He held up his drawing, a colorful landscape, complete with a big sun and two whimsical figures, one large and the other small, side by side. "Jake, that's beautiful," Sarah exclaimed, her heart swelling with pride. "What is that supposed to be?" "Us," he shouted, bouncing on his toes. "This is me, and that's you. And look, We have a best friend there too. He pointed excitedly at a not-so-subtle depiction of Mark, who grinned, taken by surprise at the unabashed affection of the young artist. Mark knelt down to Jake's level, an open smile spreading across his face. You're quite an artist, kiddo. That's a masterpiece. Jake's face lit up, the power of acceptance washing over him. He knew Mark was someone special. He could feel it in his bones. I'm gonna hang it in the diner, Jake declared, looking thrilled to solidify his pride for both the men in his life. Sarah chuckled, her heart warming at the innocent joy radiating from her son. Mark turned back to Sarah, determination sparkling in his eyes once more. See, we already have a small family dynamic going. He joked lightly, but there was seriousness laced in his words. Imagine what we can create together. Not just for Jake, but for you too. Sarah began to feel the storm inside her quiet down, overtaken by the infectious spirit of the moment. She wanted to believe in him, to embrace the chance at a new beginning. But the soft whisper of doubt still lingered. Let us take it one step at a time, she responded finally, taking a deep breath. I want to trust you, but let us start slow. Slow is perfect, Mark smiled, relief washing over him. One step at a time. But as they stood in this faintly lit bubble of hope, an uneasy feeling began to surface. What would happen once the excitement wore off? What secrets would their bond inevitably reveal? Suddenly, a figure loomed in the distance, blocking their little slice of happiness. The air thickened as Sarah squinted to see who it was. Her heart skipped a beat. What was coming next threatened the fragile peace she was beginning to cultivate. Sarah. A familiar voice rang out harshly in the night, filled with accusation and fear. She turned to Mark, a mixture of confusion and dread in her eyes. What did this mean for them now? Would their budding connection survive the pressure? The moment had shifted, and Sarah could feel the tempest threatening to return. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The figure came closer, revealing a face she had hoped never to see again, drawn tight with anger and betrayal. It was Amanda, her childhood friend turned bitter rival. Sarah's heart sank. This confrontation could unravel everything. What are you doing with him? Amanda spat, her voice dripping with disdain. You really think he is going to help you? You're just setting yourself up for disaster again. Mark glanced between them, uncertainty shadowing his expression. Sarah? He asked gently. But Amanda, wasn't he done? You've already lost so much. Don't let this guy play you for a fool too. She stepped forward, her hands balled into fists. You're not the only one who cares about Jake, you know. Is this really the time for this? Sarah snapped, anger surging. Her defenses rose, instinctively shielding both her heart and her son. Maybe it is. Amanda shouted, her voice echoing off the diner's empty windows. You're putting your trust in the wrong person. You always do. Jake was still standing by Mark's side, oblivious to the brewing storm. He looked from Sarah to Mark and back again, his innocent eyes wide with confusion. Mom? He asked, a slight tremor in his voice. Just then, Mark stepped forward, his long, confident strides bridging the gap between them. Listen, he said to Amanda, his tone calm but firm. I'm not looking to hurt Sarah or Jake. I just want to be there for them. Amanda narrowed her eyes, clearly unimpressed. So you think you can just swoop in and save the day? You have no idea what she goes through on a daily basis. Enough, Sarah shouted, her voice slicing through the tension. You're right, but I have to make my own choices. Jake and I deserve the chance to be happy. Silence lingered in the air, heavy with unsaid words. Amanda folded her arms, staring at Sarah, her expression softening just a bit. Don't you hear yourself? Amanda's voice had dropped an octave, sadder now. He could leave you just like everyone else. Mark stepped back, giving Sarah space to breathe. She could sense his frustration and pain, a direct result of the attack. But there was also something unexpected, resilience. Watching Mark process Amanda's words without anger revealed a depth Sarah hadn't fully recognized. Maybe, Sarah replied, her voice steadier now. But maybe he won tea. I've never considered what a bit of trust could mean, and I want to find out. Jake stepped forward, looking up at Sarah. Mom, let us go. I want to hang my picture up inside. Please. His eyes sparkled with hope, and Sarah's heart twisted. Amanda's expression softened as she watched Jake. I don't want either of you to get hurt, she murmured, her defenses faltering for a moment. I appreciate your concern, but we all have to move forward, Sarah said, her gaze steadying on Amanda. There's nothing wrong with hoping for something better. Amanda sighed, glancing down at her feet. I just don't want you to end up broken again, she whispered. As Amanda took a step back, the air shifted slightly, tension dissipating like fog in the morning sun. But Sarah knew this was only the first round. There would be more battles ahead, more worries to confront. Mark reached for Jake, squatting down to the boy's level once more. Let us go hang that masterpiece of yours, buddy. I want everyone to see it. Jake beamed, the earlier tension forgotten. His joy was contagious, and Sarah felt a smile break across her face. But as they walked toward the diner together, a creeping uncertainty tugged at her heartstrings. What would tomorrow bring? Would Amanda's words echo in the back of her mind? And what if the peace they found today crumbled at the next attack? As they stepped inside the diner, a figure loomed by the door, someone she hadn't seen for years. The chill of unexpected recognition washed over Sarah. What secrets did this new arrival hold? The night's embrace felt colder, and suddenly, hope felt a little more fragile than before. Sarah's heart raced as she locked eyes with the figure by the door. The air felt thick, charged with uncertainty. It was Ethan, her old boss. Time had changed him. The boyish charm was now replaced with a rugged handsomeness and a quiet intensity. What are you doing here? Sarah managed to ask, though her voice trembled slightly. Ethan took a step forward, eyes scanning the room before settling back on her. I was in town and thought I'd stop by. I heard you were here. His gaze flicked to Jake, who stood innocently by Mark's side, blissfully unaware of the weight of the moment. I didn't know you were still in the area, Sarah replied, masking her surprise with a neutral tone. Memories rushed back, late nights at the office, their shared laughter. But then the hurt flooded over her like a wave, reminding her of the abrupt way their relationship had ended. Guess life takes us all in different directions, he said, a hint of sorrow lacing his words. Mark's protective instinct kicked in. He straightened, facing Ethan. Who are you? There was a warning edge in his voice, a silent cue to Sarah. Ethan, he introduced himself, extending a hand. I used to work with Sarah? Just came to check in. Right, Amanda chimed in, returning to the diner with fresh coffee. She eyed Ethan with a mix of recognition and suspicion. You were her boss? Didn't he expect to see you here? Small world, Ethan replied, a soft smile appearing briefly as he looked at Sarah. I just wanted to see how you've been. But Sarah knew that wasn't the only reason. Ethan had a history of making grand gestures, and her gut told her there was more behind this visit. Did you come to tell me you need me back? Sarah asked, pushing through the awkwardness. I already have my hands full. The tension hung between them, heavy. No, not at all. He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. I'm not here to offer you a job. It's just, well, I've heard about what you've been going through. What do you mean? Sarah felt the heat rise in her cheeks. I want to help. If you need anything, support, resources. His eyes softened, searching her expression. Jake, still holding Mark's hand, piped up. Mom, is he going to help us hang my picture? The innocence of Jake's question drew a startled laugh from Sarah, breaking the tension for a moment. Ethan chuckled, a warm sound in the small diner. Absolutely, buddy. Let us get that artwork on the wall. Mark exchanged glances with Sarah. She could see the worry in his eyes, the need to protect her from possible disappointment. But in that moment, something clicked for her. Maybe this was what she needed. A little help, some light in the encroaching darkness. Okay, she said, glancing between Ethan and Mark. But I need to make it clear I'm not returning to my old job or falling back into old patterns. Of course, Ethan replied, sincerity flooding his voice. I'm just here to offer support, no strings attached. I didn't mean to complicate things. The warmth behind Ethan's offer swelled in the room. But as Sarah turned her gaze back to Mark, she couldn't shake the feeling that this sudden reappearance wasn't just a fluke. Could someone from her past truly be the source of support she needed? And did she dare trust him again, especially after everything she had fought to build? As she looked at Jake, full of bright-eyed hope, another piece of doubt slipped in. Would this lead to a new chapter, or was it just another way to set herself up for the inevitable crash? Feeling the weight of those unasked questions, Sarah inhaled deeply, bracing for whatever would come next. What choices would she make, and how would they affect the fragile balance of the life she had carved out? The flickering diner lights hummed softly, casting shadows that danced around them. With each moment, the air shifted, thickening again with tension, and Sarah felt her stomach twist as she wondered if the past was truly behind her or if it was waiting just out of sight to strike once more. The chatter of the diner faded into a soft buzz, and all Sarah could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Ethan stood there, steady but uncertain, like an old lighthouse in a stormy sea. Memories of bright mornings filled with hope alongside painful evenings filled with regret battled for dominance in her mind. "Ethan," she began, but the words got stuck in her throat. What could she even say right now? "Maybe we should step outside," he suggested, his voice soft but firm. The confident demeanor she once admired flickered behind a veil of concern. "I don't want to intrude on your space." Mark shifted beside her, still tense. It was clear he wanted to step in, but Sarah needed to break the growing tension. "Yell at us." As they moved outside, the crisp air filled her lungs, calming the storm inside her. The street was lit with the glow of early evening lights, highlighting the small imperfections of the world around them. For a moment, everything felt ordinary, mundane. "Sarah, I really am sorry for how things ended between us," Ethan began, his eyes searching hers for understanding. "I never wanted to hurt you. Life just got complicated, you know?" "Complicated?" she echoed, bitterness creeping into her voice. "You walked away. No explanation, just silence." He winced, the pain of that memory reflected in his gaze. "I know. I messed up. I thought I was doing what was best for both of us. But I was wrong. You deserve better." Silence stretched out between them, thick and palpable. Memories lingered in the air like smoke, each unspoken word wrapping around them. "You're here now. That's what matters," Sarah finally said, her resolve softening. "But this isn't about us. It's about Jake." She gestured towards the diner, where her son was now happily chatting with Amanda, entirely unaware of the heaviness outside. "I understand," Ethan replied, his voice dropping slightly. "I've heard about your struggles, about everything you've been managing on your own, and I truly want to help whatever that looks like." His sincerity made her heart flutter, vulnerable but also hopeful. But doubt painted over that hope quickly. "And what does that really mean? What do you gain from this?" "Nothing. Just the chance to be there for someone I care about, and maybe make things right." His honesty held a weight that pressed into Sarah's heart. Could she allow herself this possibility? To accept help and maybe rekindle a connection? Yet she remembered the sting of abandoning those hopes before. "Ethan, you don't know anything about my life now. Things have changed. I'm not that girl anymore. I don't expect you to be. I'm here for you. For Jake. No strings attached. Well, maybe just one." "What's that?" Sarah raised an eyebrow, curiosity mixed with caution. "Let me take you both out for ice cream, just this once. A fresh start, maybe?" The thought brought a rare smile to her lips, and she felt an answering warmth growing in her chest. "Ice cream?" "Yes," he replied with a slight laugh, his expression softening. "Simple, but it's a good step." As she considered it, glancing back at Jake, laughter spilling from him, Sarah was struck by how life had a way of offering second chances. Could this really be one of them? "Okay," she said, her voice steadier than before. "Just this once." As they turned back toward the diner, relief coursed through her. Each step felt lighter, a possibility emerging in the midst of uncertainty. But deep down, a nervous flutter reminded her this wasn't the end of her choices. What would happen when the ice cream melted and the reality of their past reemerged? Would she go back to where they left off? Or could she finally carve a new path forward? Sarah inhaled deeply, captivated by the promise lurking ahead, uncertain but undeniably drawn to it. That feeling hope was something she hadn't embraced in far too long. And as they entered the diner, laughter echoing around them, she couldn't shake the thought that perhaps this was a beginning. But beginnings often come with unexpected twists. What would that twist reveal? Inside the diner, the atmosphere buzzed with warmth, the clinking of cutlery and joyful chatter mingling together in a symphony of everyday life. Jake was animatedly recounting his day to Amanda, his wide-eyed enthusiasm infectious. Sarah felt a genuine smile spread across her face. He was happy, and at that moment, that was all she cared about. Ethan leaned against the counter, watching them with a soft look in his eyes. "He's a great kid," he said, his voice low enough for only Sarah to hear. "You've done an amazing job raising him." "Thanks," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with pride but also a touch of guilt. It hasn't always been easy. I can only imagine. But I want you to know I'm here. Even when it's tough, Ethan said earnestly. His gaze steadied at a sudden. Loud cheer erupted from Jake and Amanda. They had apparently just made a great discovery. Mom, look. Jake waved his arms dramatically, drawing Sarah's attention away from Ethan. They have chocolate sprinkles. The little things sparkled like hidden treasures in her son's world, and Sarah felt a pang of gratitude wash over her. It was moments like this that made everything worth it, even the struggles. Ethan walked over and knelt beside Jake. Chocolate sprinkles, huh? That sounds like a winning combination. What about you, Sarah? Want to join in the fun? Sarah chuckled, shaking her head. I might be an adult, but I never turn down sprinkles. See, Jake beamed, his excitement radiating outward. So we all need ice cream. As they walked to the counter, Sarah felt a spark of lightness, like something truly special was happening. What if this wasn't just a simple outing? By stepping outside her comfort zone, she was peeling back layers that had kept her guarded for so long. 3 scoops of joy. Please, Ethan joked to the server, his tone harmlessly teasing as he handed over cash. Sarah watched him interact and felt an odd mix of admiration and trepidation. Had this truly changed? Could she trust him not to leave again when things got tough? She didn't want to go back to that darkness, but there was something so appealing about this moment surging with possibilities. Before she could spiral into doubt, Jake tugged at her sleeve. Mom, can we sit by the window? I want to watch the cars. Of course, buddy, she replied, leading the way. As they settled into their seats, the world outside sparkled with life. Cars moved in rhythm, their headlights blooming like flowers in a garden. Ethan took the seat across from Sarah. So what's the plan after ice cream? He asked, diverting the conversation to something light and breezy. All the fun. Maybe a visit to the park? Sarah suggested, her heart racing at the idea of a shared adventure. That sounds great, Jake exclaimed, already bouncing in his seat. The warmth mingled with contentment, a pleasant blanket wrapping around them. In that moment, Sarah felt things shifting not just with Ethan, but within herself. She was allowing a flicker of hope to rise again, like a candle relighting in a dark room. So, do you guys ever go to that big park near the river? Ethan asked, leaning closer, his interest genuine. We do, Jake piped up. They have swings and a giant slide. And sometimes, they have food trucks. Food trucks, huh? Now that sounds exciting. Ethan laughed, that pure joy echoing in his voice. And for a moment, Sarah couldn't help but imagine what it would be like to really be a family again, to share laughter and joy without the weight of the past holding them back. But could they ever move forward? Was she ready to consider more than just a moment? As they savored their ice cream, Sarah found herself glancing at Ethan, a longing intertwining with caution. This moment was warm and alive, but what if it all came crashing down? And just then, Jake shifted in his seat and spoke with the innocence only a child could hold. Are you two going to be best friends again? The question hung heavy in the air, a tangle of hope and unresolved threads. What would Sarah say? What did she truly want? And could she open her heart again, knowing the past was still so close? The thought weighed on her just as ice cream melted, promising sweet surprises ahead, yet tinged with uncertainty. How would she answer the truth that she couldn't escape? Jake's question hung like a cloud in the diner, thick with anticipation. Sarah felt an urgency, a scramble of thoughts pulsing in her mind. She searched Ethan's eyes, looking for reassurance, for a sign that maybe, just maybe, they could reclaim something precious. Best friends? Ethan's voice matched Jake's innocence. That's a big question, buddy. Why is it big? Jake countered, tilting his head. You used to be best friends. Things change, kiddo, Ethan responded, a faint smile lingering on his lips, but Sarah caught the flicker of vulnerability that passed over his face. Mom. Jake turned to her, brow furrowed. Do you want to be best friends again? The question jabbed at Sarah's heart. Could she risk it? It felt monumental, like digging back into a treasure chest full of painful past. Yet the sweetness of possibility felt intoxicating. I think, she started, her voice catching. I think it takes time to rebuild friendships. Ethan nodded slowly, seeming to absorb her words. That's true. It's not something that happens overnight. I just want us to have fun. Jake interjected, oblivious to the weight of the topic but eager to capture the lightness of the moment. And we can have fun, Sarah agreed, feeling a rush of warmth. That's the most important thing, right? Nodding vigorously, Jake shoved more ice cream into his mouth. The action was comical, and she couldn't help but laugh. Laughter always eased the tension, and it felt invigorating. Maybe they could navigate this new path together, one scoop at a time. Let us finish up and hit that park, she said brightly, pushing aside the tumult of her emotions. I think I need to test those swings, and it sounds like you could use a good run around. Yay, Jake shouted, his energy infectious as he jumped out of his seat, ready for action. Ethan got up, an easy grin on his face. All right, I'll grab the check. You two better get your shoes on while I'm paying. As he stepped away, Sarah grabbed Jake's hand. Hey, you're doing great. Just focus on having fun, okay? Okay, Mom. But can you promise to smile a lot too? Deal, she replied. But it was serious business. Could she truly let go of her past fears and allow herself to embrace whatever good lay ahead? A few moments later, they were outside, the sun shining bright like a promise. Jake ran ahead, oblivious to the conversations swirling in Sarah's mind. She looked to Ethan, who was holding the door for her as they left the diner. You really want to do this? I do, he affirmed, earnest and open. I don't want you or Jake to feel like you're alone. We can figure this out together. The warmth radiating from his voice wrapped around her, yet a cold flicker of doubt crept in. What if things got complicated again? What if she opened up her heart, only to find the same heartache waiting to strike? Just please promise to be patient with us, she said cautiously. Sarah, I promise, he replied, his eyes steady. I just want a chance, that's all. Jake came darting back, tugging at Sarah's hand. Let us go. I want to go on the swings. She took a deep breath. This was the moment to decide. Her son's laughter, the absorption of joy that rippled through the park, could be enough to pave a path toward healing. Couldn't it? As they walked, Sarah felt an undeniable shift. Hope flickered like a distant star. Perhaps they could be a family again. A real one. But deep down, anxiety bubbled. What other surprises were waiting for them at the park? And just beyond that, was it really possible to forgive and forget? With those thoughts swirling in her mind, she resolved to take the next step forward. But was she prepared for what awaited her there? The park was alive with laughter and the sounds of joy, the promise of a carefree afternoon shining brightly in the sun. Jake dashed toward the swings, his enthusiasm contagious, while Sarah and Ethan exchanged a glance filled with unspoken understandings. For now, they were just three people in a joyful moment, but the weight of their history loomed like a shadow behind them. Don't let him out of sight. Ethan chuckled, his eyes dancing as he pointed toward Jake, who was already climbing onto the swing, flapping his arms like he could take flight. I've got him, Sarah replied, nervous laughter escaping her lips. As she took a few steps toward Jake, she felt Ethan right behind her. It was hard not to notice how their energies blended seamlessly, like pieces of a puzzle fitting back together after being apart for so long. Higher, Mom. Push me higher. Jake called out, his voice a mix of glee and challenge. All right, hold on tight, she replied, stepping behind him. As she pushed him, Jake squealed in delight, his laughter ringing through the air, melting away some of the tension they all silently carried. With every push, Sarah felt the weight in her chest lift just a little, each joyous shout from her son chipping away at her anxiety. Ethan watched, leaning against a nearby tree, a soft smile spreading across his face. Watching them closely, Sarah caught a glimpse of a man who had just returned from the past, but had learned to appreciate the present for what it was. Once Jake had surrendered to the joy of swinging and was momentarily out of breath, he hopped off and ran back toward them. That was awesome. Can we get ice cream next? Of course, Sarah agreed, her heart swelling at his happiness. But after lunch, okay? Lunch first, then ice cream, he repeated, practicing what he learned about good food choices, and suddenly, he shifted gears as he turned to Ethan. Will you come too? Ethan hesitated for a split second, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. But Jake's innocent excitement was undeniable, his eyes wide with anticipation. How about that? Sarah prompted, her heart racing. Sure, I'd love that, Ethan said, his voice earnest. As they made their way towards the picnic area, a soft breeze danced around them, carrying hints of popcorn and cotton candy from the nearby stands. They took their seats at a weathered wooden table beneath an oak tree, and Jake's chatter filled the air with delightful anecdotes about his friends at school and the superheroes he wished he could meet. You'd be surprised how many lives superheroes have, Ethan chimed in, laughing. They save the day and still manage to do homework. Sarah watched the two of them together, heart full yet heavy with past memories both sweet and sour. She was yearning for more moments like these, to feel light, to breathe. Why couldn't it always be this easy? But beneath the laughter, a flicker of uncertainty sparked within her. Was this light-hearted joy a prelude to something deeper, or just a brief bump on an unstable road? Would she truly allow herself to embrace the possibility of this rekindling friendship, while the shadows of their past still lingered? After lunch, Jake insisted on playing frisbee. As he ran around in circles, Sarah caught Ethan watching her with a lingering gaze, and the moment felt heavy with potential. Let us not ruin it, she thought. But could she let down her guard enough to truly enjoy the afternoon and all the warmth it promised? Just as the question hung in the air, Jake called out for them both to join him. Come on, don't be boring. And with that, she dashed forward too, alongside Ethan, the laughter between the three echoing in the park and pulling them closer together. Yet in her heart, the question lingered heavily. What would happen if they took the next step into a future they had only hoped for? Was she ready to trust again? As they began to run after Jake, she caught Ethan's eye, and for an instant, they both could see a future that echoed with both joy and uncertainty. What awaited them when they stepped beyond this carefree afternoon? The sun began its slow descent, painting the sky with a warm embrace. The laughter and shouts of children filled the park, a comforting sound that made Sarah believe in the power of joy. Jake flitted between swings, tumbled on the grass, and gripped the frisbee like a trophy, while Sarah and Ethan shared fleeting smiles and a growing camaraderie that began to confuse her heart. Mom, throw it, Jake shouted, eager for another round. Sarah returned his excited smile before glancing at Ethan. Do you want to play? She asked, the invitation almost daring him to join this newfound thrill. Absolutely. Ethan grinned. He tossed the frisbee with surprising skill, sending it gliding across the grass. Jake squealed with delight, running after it with the abandon only a child could muster. As they played, Sarah found herself slipping into the rhythm of the moment. Laughter bubbled up and twinkled in the air like the shimmering light playing off the leaves. Each throw of the frisbee, each burst of Jake's laughter felt like a small promise, a stitch in the fabric of their renewed connection. See, we can have fun together, Ethan called out, a spark of light in his eyes. But even in that carefree banter, Sarah felt the shadows of uncertainty hovering behind her. What would tomorrow bring? What weight would the past impose upon their budding friendship? Just as she thought the moment couldn't be more perfect, the snap of Jake's voice broke through her thoughts. Mom, I'm tired. Jake plopped down in the grass, panting but happy. Let us take a break, Ethan suggested, settling beside him. The three of them sank onto the grass, surrounded by the scents of summer freshly cut grass, blooming flowers, and an unmistakable hint of nostalgia. You're really good at frisbee. Jake beamed up at Ethan, admiration shining in his eyes. Ethan chuckled, brushing grass off his shorts. Thanks. Maybe I should join your team sometime. We could be unbeatable. In that moment, Sarah felt her heart expand. Seeing Jake so at ease around Ethan brought an unexpected warmth. Yet lurking beneath that happiness were the guarded edges of her heart, reminding her to tread lightly. After a few moments of playful banter, Ethan turned to her, sincerity in his gaze. Sarah, I know today has felt lighthearted, but I want to acknowledge how serious this is. I know, she replied, her throat tightening. It's just I've been alone for a while, trying to make the best for Jake. Trust comes harder for me now. I understand that, Ethan said softly. And I want you to know, I'm not asking you to rush into anything. Just one day at a time. His gentle affirmation poured over her like honey, warm and sweetening the bitter edges of her past. Thank you, Ethan, she said, the gratitude spilling genuine. With the golden sunset weaving shadows across the park, it was as if time paused, and everything felt electric. For a brief moment, the world outside faded, the weight of yesterday slipping just a little. Mom, look at that sunset, Jake shouted, tugging her hand impatiently. Beautiful, she exclaimed, her heart swelling. Everything feels brighter. Just like us, Jake added, grinning at his mom, his adorable innocence washing over her worries. Yes, just like us, Sarah echoed, her heart now dancing with a flicker of hope as the sun dipped below the horizon. She glanced at Ethan, and for the first time in a long while, she saw promise, perhaps even the whispers of a future they had yet to carve. Would they be able to turn this day into a new beginning? Let us get some ice cream now, she said, springing to her feet. Jake's right. We deserve a sweet treat after all that running around. Yes, Jake shouted, jumping to his feet. Chocolate sprinkles all around. The trio began to walk towards the ice cream stand, feet light and spirits even lighter. They laughed, played, and wove through the maze of people enjoying the perfect summer night. As they approached the stand, Sarah felt that giddiness bubble up within her. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the first step toward that family she had always dreamed of. At the stand, Jake eagerly placed his order for a mountain of chocolate sprinkles, while Sarah and Ethan shared a glance filled with warmth and promise, the kind that bubbles up from the very depths of your heart. Don't forget, it's just the beginning, Ethan whispered to Sarah as they stood together, eyes sparkling with hope. Just the beginning, she echoed softly, feeling a new bond solidify right there on shaky ground. And just like that, in the glow of laughter and ice cream, surrounded by shimmering lights, Sarah realized that perhaps happiness was not just about the absence of struggles. It was about having the courage to embrace them together. Her heart felt full. She was ready to take a leap, one step at a time, into a life colored with love, trust, and hope. No longer alone, they were about to rewrite their story together, hand in hand, lick by lick, as the laughter of family echoed through Maplewood. This was it, the start of something special. And just like the best stories do, it ended on a hopeful note. Hold on to your joy and share it with the world. If you love this story, you need to subscribe now to catch everything coming up. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us share more moments like these. Comment below with your feelings about this beautiful transformation. And don't wait, not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this warmth and growth. Let us inspire everyone together.